The human ship Unity's spear moved quietly through deep space, its metal body glowing faintly under distant stars. Inside, Commander Ethan Hale stood near the observation window, hands behind his back, posture straight as always. He had survived ground wars, orbital strikes, and first contact battles, yet nothing had prepared him for what waited behind the sealed door of his private quarters. He was married, not by love, not by choice, by treaty. The Galactic Concord had demanded it as a symbol of trust. A binding between species, a living promise that humans and aliens could stand as one. Ethan, known for discipline and calm judgment, had been chosen. He accepted without protest, as soldiers often did. His wife was not human. Her name was Lureth of the Velori, a tall, elegant alien woman with silver-blue skin, dark flowing hair, and eyes that reflected light like liquid crystal. Among her people, she was considered young, strong, and noble. Among humans, she was overwhelming. Ethan heard the door slide open behind him. "You are avoiding me again," Lureth said. Her voice was musical but sharp with frustration. Ethan turned slowly. "I was reviewing mission data." "You were staring at stars," she replied, walking closer. "You humans lie very badly." He nodded once. "Noted." Lureth stopped only a step away from him, too close by human standards. Her people valued closeness. Physical presence meant honesty. Distance meant rejection. She tilted her head, studying him. "You still haven't touched me." Ethan felt his jaw tighten slightly. "We've discussed this." "Yes, many times," she said, "and each time you say the same strange thing. Consent, comfort, choice." Her eyes narrowed. "I am your wife, by law, by oath, by ritual. Why do you act like I am forbidden?" "Because," Ethan said calmly, "you're a person, not a duty." That answer confused her every time. Among the Velori, marriage was immediate closeness. Touch confirmed the bond. To delay was an insult. Lureth had expected her human husband to claim her proudly. Instead, he treated her like a fragile alliance document. Her patience broke. "You still haven't touched me," she said loudly, and then without warning she jumped forward. Ethan reacted instantly. Years of training took over. He stepped back, caught her shoulders firmly, and guided her safely to the floor without harm. In one smooth motion he released her and took another step away. Lureth sat there, stunned, not because he had touched her, but because he let go. The silence stretched. "You could have held me," she said softly. "You didn't ask," Ethan replied. She stared at him as if he had spoken a foreign language. Around them, unseen by both, security feeds recorded everything. Alien diplomats would later watch this moment in disbelief. Lureth rose slowly. "On my world," she said, "strength means taking what is given." "On mine," Ethan answered, "strength means stopping yourself." That night, Lureth did not sleep. She lay on the wide human bed, staring at the ceiling panels, replaying the moment again and again. The way he caught her, the care in his grip, the way he let go immediately as if holding her longer would be wrong. No Velori male would do that. They would have held her tighter, claimed victory, declared dominance. Ethan Hale had done none of those things. The next day, the ship entered contested space. Enemy vessels appeared without warning. Alarms rang through the halls. Red lights flashed. The fragile alliance was being tested sooner than expected. Ethan moved instantly, issuing orders with calm authority. Human crew members responded with precision. Alien officers watched closely. They had heard humans were reckless in war. What they saw instead was control. Ethan coordinated defenses, redirected power, and predicted enemy movements with frightening accuracy. When a plasma strike breached a secondary corridor, he was the first on the scene, dragging injured crew to safety without hesitation. Lureth followed from a distance, her heart pounding. She watched him kneel beside a wounded Velori soldier. "Can you move?" he asked. The alien nodded weakly. Ethan didn't touch him immediately, he waited. "Yes," the soldier whispered. Only then did Ethan lift him, carrying him to safety. Again, permission, respect. When the battle ended, the enemy retreating under unexpected human resistance, the conquered observers were silent. Later, in the medical bay, Lureth approached Ethan. "You fought like a storm," she said. He shrugged. "Just doing my job." "You never used your full strength," she said. He met her gaze. "I did, just not against my allies." Something shifted inside her. That night she approached him again, slower this time. "May I sit beside you?" she asked. Ethan looked surprised, then he nodded. "Yes." She sat close but not touching, her voice was quiet. "On my world, marriage means belonging, ownership, power shared through closeness." Ethan listened. She continued, "With you I feel chosen, but untouched. It makes no sense." "It will," he said gently. "Eventually." She studied him. "Humans are dangerous." He smiled faintly. "We've been told." "No," she said. "Not because of your weapons, because you can stop." Outside the ship, stars burned silently. Inside, two worlds struggled to understand each other. And somewhere in that space between restraint and desire, the galaxy began to change. The days after the battle passed in uneasy calm. Unity's spear continued deeper into contested space, escorting a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels. Repairs were underway, crews moved with purpose, and tension stayed thick in the air like a storm that refused to leave. Ethan Hale remained the same. Calm, focused, careful with every word and action. Lureth noticed everything. She noticed how he always knocked before entering a room, even his own quarters. How he asked before touching control panels assigned to alien officers. How he lowered his voice when speaking to the wounded. These small acts confused her more than open defiance ever could. Among the Velari, authority meant closeness. Leaders touched shoulders, took hands, pulled others close to show power and unity. Ethan ruled space around him instead. He never forced his presence. People moved toward him by choice. That unsettled her. One cycle later, the fleet stopped near a broken moon to resupply. Scouts reported strange energy readings on the surface. The Conquered ordered a joint investigation. Human Marines, alien guards, mixed command. Ethan was assigned field leader. Lureth insisted on joining. "I am your wife," she said firmly, "and a Velori tactician. I will not hide on a ship." Ethan studied her for a moment, then nodded. "All right, but you follow mission protocol." She lifted her chin. "I will follow you." The landing craft descended through thin gray clouds. The surface below was cracked stone and twisted metal, remains of an ancient battle long forgotten. As they stepped out, wind howled across the moon, carrying dust that stung exposed skin. Ethan raised a hand. The team stopped instantly. Alien soldiers exchanged glances. No shout. No command pad, just a raised hand, and trained humans froze like statues. Lureth felt a strange tightness in her chest. They moved forward carefully. Scanners flickered. Something was wrong. Then the ground shook. From beneath the stone, creatures erupted, mechanical, half-living war constructs left behind by a dead empire. They moved fast, blades spinning, weapons screaming. Chaos exploded. Ethan reacted without hesitation. He shouted clear orders, directing humans and aliens into defensive positions. He fired with precision, covering gaps, never wasting a shot. Lureth fought beside him, energy staff flashing. At one point, a construct lunged toward her blind side. Ethan saw it. He tackled her out of the way, rolling across the stone. The creature's blade struck where she had been standing moments before. They landed hard. Dust filled the air. For a brief second, Ethan was on top of her, one arm braced beside her head, the other holding his weapon away so it would not touch her. Time seemed to stop. Her eyes widened. His breath was steady, controlled, close enough that she could feel warmth through his armor. He did not move. "Are you injured?" he asked. "No," she whispered. He hesitated. "May I help you up?" Her heart hammered. "Yes." Only then did he move, rolling away first, then offering his hand. She took it. The battle ended minutes later. The constructs were destroyed, their power cores shattered. The team regrouped, breathing hard but alive. Alien soldiers stared openly at Ethan. One of them finally spoke. "You could have claimed her in battle." Ethan looked confused. "Claimed? You saved her life. By Velori law, she would owe you full bond acknowledgement." Lureth turned sharply toward Ethan, watching his reaction. He shook his head. "I didn't save her for that. I saved her because she's part of my team." Silence followed. Back on the ship, word spread fast. Not just about the mission, but about Ethan's behavior. Alien officers whispered. Humans shrugged, seeing nothing unusual. That difference mattered. Later, Lureth stood alone in the observation corridor. Ethan approached quietly and stopped a respectful distance away. "You fought well," he said. "You jumped in front of a blade for me," she replied. "That is not distance." "It is duty," he answered. She faced him fully. "No, Ethan Hale, that was choice." He did not deny it. She took a slow step closer. "On my world, warriors take what battle offers them. Victory land mates. And on mine," Ethan said, "we protect what matters and let it choose us back." Her voice softened. "What if I choose you?" He held her gaze. "Then I will honor that choice, but not force it." Her people would not understand this, but she was beginning to. Days later, a political crisis erupted. A powerful alien house accused humans of weakening Velori traditions. They demanded the marriage bond be completed in the old way, public, unquestioned, immediate. If not, they threatened to withdraw from the conquered. The fleet gathered for a tense council. Lureth stood before them, heart racing. Ethan stood beside her, silent. The alien leader spoke loudly. "Your human husband refuses you. This is humiliation." Lureth raised her voice. "No, this is respect," gasps echoed. "He has never treated me as property," she continued. "Never assumed ownership. He protects me, listens to me, and waits for my will. That is not weakness." The leader sneered. "You sound influenced." Ethan finally spoke. "If she wishes to leave this bond, I will release her." Lureth turned to him, shocked. "You would give me up?" she asked quietly. "If staying requires pressure," he said, "then yes." Something inside her broke and healed at the same time. She faced the council. "I stay by choice, not tradition." The chamber erupted in argument, but something had already changed. Later, alone again, Lureth approached Ethan. "You offered to lose me," she said. "I offered you freedom," he replied. She stepped closer than ever before. "Then hear this," she said softly. "I am not untouched because you do not want me. I am untouched because you value me." He nodded. "Exactly." Outside, the fleet prepared for war again. Inside, the bond between human and alien grew stronger, not through force, but through restraint. And across the galaxy, eyes were beginning to watch humanity with a new kind of fear. The war did not wait for understanding. 3 cycles after the council, enemy fleets appeared at the edge of conquered space. They were not like the scattered raiders from before. These ships moved in perfect formation, cold and silent. Ancient machines, awakened fully now. The dead empire had not stayed dead. Unity's spear took its place at the front of the Allied line. Ethan Hale stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the tactical display. Human officers waited for his orders. Alien commanders watched him closely. Many still doubted him. Some feared him. Lureth stood beside him, armored and calm, though her heart was heavy. "This battle will decide more than territory," she said quietly. "If we fail, the conquered breaks." Ethan nodded. "Then we don't fail." The enemy attacked without warning. Space lit up with fire and energy beams. Shields flared, ships shook, alarms screamed. Ethan's voice cut through the chaos, steady and clear. He directed human and alien ships together, weaving them into a single fighting force. Where aliens expected brute force, he used timing. Where humans expected speed, he used patience. Enemy ships began to fall, but the machines learned. They changed tactics mid-battle, focusing fire on alien vessels, pushing them back, trying to fracture the alliance. Several Velori ships took heavy damage. Lureth watched in horror as one of her people's cruisers lost power and drifted toward enemy lines. "Commander," an alien officer shouted. "They will be destroyed." Ethan's eyes narrowed. He made a decision that would define the battle. "All human ships," he ordered, "form shield wall around the Velori cruiser. Redirect fire to me." Gasps filled the deck. "That will expose us," someone said. "I know," Ethan replied. Human ships moved instantly, placing themselves between the enemy and the crippled alien vessel. Blasts slammed into human shields. Hulls burned. One ship was lost, then another. Lureth turned to Ethan, shaken. "You are sacrificing your own." Ethan did not look away from the display. "They are not my own. They are allies." The Velori cruiser escaped. The enemy pulled back, reassessing. The battle paused, but the cost was high. In the aftermath, anger spread among some alien factions. "They use human lives too easily," one alien commander accused. "They throw themselves into death like it means nothing." Lureth heard the words and felt a cold anger rise inside her. That night, she found Ethan alone in the medical bay, staring at a list of casualties. Human names, young names. "You saved my people," she said. "At a price," he answered quietly. She stepped closer. "They say you don't value life." Ethan finally looked at her. His eyes were tired. "I value choice. Every human on those ships chose to hold that line. I didn't force them." That answer stayed with her. The next day, the enemy returned, stronger, faster. They launched boarding units, targeting command ships directly. One strike team breached Unity's spear. Combat erupted in the corridors. Humans and aliens fought side by side. The machines were relentless, cutting through walls, adapting instantly. Ethan led from the front. Lureth followed him into fire and smoke. At one point, a blast threw her against a bulkhead. Pain shot through her side. She slid down, struggling to breathe. Ethan turned and saw her fall. Everything else vanished. He ran to her, firing as he moved, placing himself between her and the enemy. A machine lunged. Ethan took the hit on his armor, sparks flying. He did not retreat. He destroyed the machine, then knelt beside Lureth. "Can you move?" he asked. She shook her head. "May I carry you?" he asked, even now. Tears burned her eyes. "Yes." He lifted her carefully, holding her close but controlled, shielding her with his body as they moved through chaos. Every step was danger, every second a risk. They reached a sealed compartment. Ethan locked the door and set her down gently. She grabbed his arm. "You could have left me." "I won't," he said simply. "But you might die," she whispered. "So might everyone," he replied. "That doesn't change what's right." Outside, explosions shook the ship. The machines were closing in. Lureth realized something then, something deeper than culture or tradition. Ethan did not hold back because he feared closeness. He held back because he feared taking choice away. The compartment door began to glow under enemy cutting tools. Ethan stood in front of her. "I will hold them," he said. "When the breach happens, run." She rose unsteadily. "I will not." He turned. "Lureth," she placed her hand on his chest. "Listen to me. I choose you not as duty, not as symbol, as my partner." He froze. "For my people," she continued, "bond is declared through touch in danger, through standing together when death is close." She took his hand and placed it over her heart. "I am asking," she said, "do not step back." The door exploded inward. Ethan moved, not away, with her. They fought side by side, back to back, perfectly aligned. He no longer held distance, but he never claimed ownership. Every movement was shared, chosen, balanced. Together, they drove the machines back long enough for reinforcements to arrive. The boarding force was destroyed. The ship survived. Later, as repairs began and the dead were honored, word spread quickly. The alien wife had chosen. The human had not taken. The alliance held, not through law, but through trust. Lureth stood beside Ethan at the memorial. "Now you have touched me," she said softly. He nodded. "Only because you asked." She smiled, proud and fierce. "That is why the galaxy will fear humans." Beyond the fleet, the enemy gathered its full strength. The final battle was coming. And this time, humanity would not stand alone. The fleet moved as one. a living chain of ships cutting through the void. Unity's spear led the line, its sleek hull reflecting the distant light of a dying star. Ethan Hale stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the displays, mind calculating movements, predicting enemy actions as always. He had survived countless battles, but this one would test more than skill. It would test unity, trust, and the bond between species. Lureth stood beside him, her hand resting lightly on the console, her gaze sharp. She had learned much since the day she had first declared that humans could be trusted with choice. Now, she understood something deeper. Humans were dangerous, yes, but not because of weapons or aggression. Dangerous because they could inspire loyalty, courage, and hope, and demand respect without ever raising a hand in dominance. "Commander," Lureth said softly, "they are massing at 3 vectors. Their formation is unlike any we have seen." Ethan nodded. "They've adapted. They've learned from previous encounters, but adaptation is not enough to beat coordination." His voice was calm, steady. "Prepare all units for rapid deployment. Humans, Valori, and others, everyone acts as one. We will fight together or not at all." Across the deck, officers moved efficiently. Humans relayed orders to aliens. Aliens mirrored them back. The fleet became a living organism, each ship a cell reacting instantly to the threats around it. The enemy struck with firepower beyond measure, waves of war machines pouring forward. Yet the alliance held. The difference was coordination, but more than that, it was respect. Lureth observed Ethan. In the midst of chaos, he remained composed. Calm eyes met hers, and in that moment she understood fully. Leadership wasn't about power. It was about control, judgment, and above all, trust. Her people often confused control with dominance. Ethan had shown her the truth. Strength did not demand possession. It demanded respect and the courage to let others choose. The battle escalated. Enemy ships fired plasma waves that tore through shields. Explosions rocked the fleet. A massive war cruiser from the enemy line broke formation and aimed directly for a civilian transport. Without hesitation, Ethan redirected the fleet, placing human and Valori ships as a protective barrier. The cruiser's weapons hammered against shields, but no lives were lost. Discipline and strategy had saved hundreds. Lureth could not hide the awe in her expression. She had grown used to humans being reckless, brash, and aggressive. This was something entirely different. But then the unexpected happened. A second enemy formation appeared, faster, more aggressive. Their strategy was to split the fleet, isolate ships, and overwhelm. Panic began to ripple through some of the alien crews. Lureth could feel the tension in the air. If the fleet fractured, the conquered would collapse. Entire worlds would be at risk. Ethan noticed the fear, but he did not flinch. "We adapt," he said. "Focus on coordination. One move at a time. Everyone has a role. Trust in each other and follow me." He took the lead personally. In a small strike team, he boarded a disabled enemy vessel, cutting through corridors filled with automated defenses. Lureth followed closely, her energy staff glowing as it deflected attacks. Each step was a test of trust and timing. The human and alien worked seamlessly, anticipating each other's moves. For the first time, she truly felt what it meant to fight alongside someone who valued her as a partner, not a tool or possession. They reached the ship's control core. Ethan assessed it quickly, recognizing the device as the command matrix for the enemy formation. "If we disable this, we can disrupt the entire wave," he said. Lureth nodded. "Then let us move carefully, together, together." The word resonated differently in her mind now. It did not mean ownership or dominance. It meant shared responsibility, mutual choice, and trust. Working in perfect coordination, they bypassed security systems and overloaded the core. The ship convulsed, lights flashing, and the enemy fleet faltered. Ships lost coordination, weapons misfired, and some retreated in confusion. The battle had turned, but their escape was not simple. The enemy ship's self-destruct sequence began. Ethan calculated the timing and found a narrow window. "Hold on," he said, gripping Lureth's arm. We moved together. The corridor erupted in fire as they ran. Lureth stumbled, but Ethan caught her instantly, his hands steady, his eyes focused. He did not take control. He mirrored her movements, protected her while letting her move of her own will. It was a dance of trust and discipline. They reached the escape pod with seconds to spare. As the pod launched, the enemy vessel detonated behind them, sending shockwaves through space. Ethan and Lureth watched the destruction together. She turned to him, breathing hard, her heart pounding not from fear alone but from realization. She had chosen him, and he had honored that choice without hesitation. Back on the command deck of Unity's Spear, the fleet regrouped. Reports came in of the enemy's retreat. Communications from distant sectors revealed that humans had not only held the line, they had inspired allied fleets to fight harder, to coordinate better, and to trust each other more deeply. The galaxy had witnessed a new kind of strength. Lureth approached Ethan again. She stood close but not pressing as she had before. "You have done more than fight," she said softly. "You have shown them what it means to lead, to inspire, to protect without taking." Ethan nodded. "We did this together." "They followed because we trusted them, not because we demanded it." She smiled, a mixture of pride and relief. "And what of us?" He looked at her steadily. "We will continue as we have, side by side, choice always respected, trust always given." Her heart swelled. She had expected passion, ritual, or possession. Instead, she found respect, courage, and partnership. That was more powerful than anything she had known on her world. The fleet began its long journey back to conquered space, the stars stretching endlessly before them. Lureth stood beside Ethan on the observation deck, gazing at the cosmos. For the first time, she felt that humans, and this human in particular, were more than just allies. They were something extraordinary. "Do you realize," she said quietly, "why your people are dangerous?" Ethan looked at her, curious. "Because we can fight." "No," she replied. "Because you can inspire others to follow without forcing them. You can lead without claiming, and you can love without taking." He smiled faintly. "I suppose we are dangerous in that way." She stepped closer, her hand brushing against his lightly, a simple gesture of choice, not demand. He did not flinch. He held her hand gently, acknowledging her decision. Beyond the observation deck, the galaxy waited. Old empires would rise, threats would appear, and alliances would be tested again. But the story of one human and one alien woman who had learned to trust and respect each other above all else would be remembered. It was a lesson in strength, courage, and the power of choice. And for Lureth, the lesson was personal. She had expected possession, but she had discovered partnership. She had expected dominance, but she had discovered restraint. And she had expected distance, but she had found a bond built on trust, respect, and mutual choice. Ethan turned to her, still holding her hand. "Whatever comes next," he said, "we face it together." She nodded. "Together," she repeated. It was a promise, a choice, and a new kind of strength. A strength the galaxy had never seen before, humanity at its finest. And so, as the stars stretched infinitely around them, two worlds stood united not by law, ritual, or fear, but by understanding, trust, and the quiet, unyielding strength of humanity. The conquered had survived. Their bond had survived. And the galaxy would never forget why humans were to be reckoned with, not for what they could take, but for what they could give, and for the courage to stand beside others without ever claiming them.